Repeating. Hello there. This is a brief instruction in regards to the piano keyboard, and we're going to also learn about semitones and whole tones as well. Now, if you do play the piano, or if you're quite familiar with the piano, you can feel free to skip this instruction video. This is primarily for those who need to understand how the piano keyboard is laid out and the usage of the piano. During the instructions, as you go through these modules, as you are self-learning, it is great to understand and know the piano keyboard as well as to use it from time to time in your learning. You don't have to be able to play piano to be able to use the piano. And from time to time in the modules, you'll see that I will use the piano as well. So let's go ahead and get started. The objectives of this module is to understand the piano keyboard, identification of piano keys, note placement of these keys on the musical staff, understanding the semitones and what whole tones are, and learning in harmonics in music. Here's the reason why in teaching music theory, we tend to use the piano whether or not we're able to play. Me, I'm not able to play. I'm more so able to use the piano very effectively in my own learning as well as to help others. But in general, of all of the instruments other than the voice, the piano or any keyboard instrument that includes the organ or harpsichord, it is the most comprehensive. It contains almost all of the sounds that can be heard in Western music. When played, the piano can be played with multiple tonalities at one time. You can play chords, you can play many different variations of music, and of course you can also play single line. The only other instrument that can be compared to the piano is the harp. But if you were to open up a piano, it's basically a very large harp with mallets that will strike up against each of the strings. Some people call the piano a percussive instrument. Some people call the piano a stringed instrument. But if you really talk to a pianist, they say a piano is a piano. It's its own category. And I can't say I disagree. I do agree with that. We use the piano to show pitch in relation to its placement on the staff and its tonality. And of course, we use the piano to listen and to hear as well. So the piano is very much used. So you do need to know what it looks like and of course what the keys are and etc. on that piano. All right, I'm going to go to the next. I'm going to come off of this slide presentation and I'm going to go to a specific piano. On the module, you'll see links to these pianos as well. If for some strange reason the link does not pop up the way it should in Canvas, simply copy the link and open it up in your browser. This is a website called the Virtual Piano, and pretty much it is a piano. As you can see, of course, we see the white keys and the black keys. You can see that for every grouping keys like this, you see basically two groupings of keys, this one and this one. The groupings are separated by a natural half step. This note here is C. As a matter of fact, it's middle C. Listen to it again. All right. So this is middle C. And the white keys here are all whole steps from C to D, from C to E. Just working with the white keys right now. From E to F is what we would call a natural half step. That's a natural half step or a semitone. Now let me get back to my PowerPoint presentation. A semitone is a half step. It is the smallest distance between two specific notes. We would not call unison a semitone because it does not change. It's the same tone. but two tones from one tone to the next, we call that a semitone or a half step. Half a tone, semi means half. It means a half step. So let's get back to the piano keyboard. And you can see this is a natural half step. This is the tone E, and this is the tone F. Now we come to the second part of the piano keys, and the white keys we're going to focus on again are whole steps until we get to B and C. That is also a natural half step. Listen to it again. In the key of C, the natural half step is between E and F, and again from B to C. Now later on, we're going to be learning about major scales, and so we're going to show you how a major scale is constructed with that specific knowledge. But when you're looking at a regular piano keyboard and you're looking at the white keys, if you know that from E to F and then from B to C are natural half steps, that will help you in understanding intervals, which is the next module, which is the module that this is part of. Once you're able to hear that, you'll be able to understand specific things about intervals. All right? Now, remember this key here is middle C. Remember the grand staff that we had that I drew up on the board for you? I'm going to pull that up right now. This is a video. And this right here is a grand staff. And it's going to encompass, in this case, almost every key of the piano from the low end all the way to its top end. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you. And it's a real quick one. And I did also place this in the module. There you go. So what this did, and I'm going to go ahead and stop it, this played from the lowest note possible that you can see on the staff, just a couple of ledger lines down, and goes all the way up. In this case, it played the whole sequence in the key of C major. So obviously in the key of C major, as I go back to the virtual piano here, in the key of C major, it's all white keys. And again, once we begin to learn about major scales, you'll understand its construction. So I'm going to play it in such a way that I don't have a sustain on the notes here. So here we are in C major. Now, these are the only notes here. Let's go to the black notes right quick. That's a whole step to here. From here to here is also a whole step. So you notice the black keys by themselves from here to here is a whole step. It's not a whole step. We'll learn about that interval later. But remember, this is our first section, and therefore we have between the white keys are whole steps, and the black keys is also in this case a whole step, is also a whole step. This is the second section of keys, and therefore is a whole step, is a whole step, is a whole step, and the black keys are the same. A whole step, a whole step. So if you understand that the natural half step between E and F separates these two sections of nothing but whole steps. All right? That's middle C. And every C Those are all the C's. Every C sounds the same and has the same frequency. We're not going to worry about acoustics and frequency in this class. You should be able to get that in Music 102. That's middle C. Can you hum that? Good. Let's play the high C. And if you got it, and I don't have it tonight, that's the high C. That's that infamous high C that people talk about in regards to sopranos. That's the infamous high C for tenors. Many baritones and basses will have that one. And that's the infamous low C for us contraltos. Anyway, that's the bass's low C there. And there's a few other notes just past this keyboard. Now, when you buy a electronic keyboard, sometimes you get this. This is a basic or standard keyboard, but it's not a full keyboard. So if you're looking to purchase a keyboard, just know that you have to tell the people at the music store that you want a full keyboard if you're planning on buying your own keyboard. Full keyboard is just as transportable as a 2/3, I guess, of a keyboard. But anyway, this is 2/3 of a keyboard when you're looking on the app here. I'm gonna pull up this next keyboard. Its distance is pretty small. I'm gonna see how large I can make this. But notice that each of these keys have a letter name to it. Interesting, huh? I'm going to remove some of the octaves so that we can have some visibility here. Let me see what else I can remove. Another high octave. And I'm going to just start it right there. Here's middle C. All right? Notice the number for C is C4. Prior to that, here is C3. And then there is a C below it and a C below it. Of course, I can't pull it up because you would not be able to see the lettering. But there are two C's below it. There's also another G, A, and B right below those, and we call those G0, A0, and B0. Then the first C is C1. When you, this is also in your module. If you were to pull it back and add the lower octave, you will see the C1. So we just basically look at the C's. C1, C2, and here we are at C3. The notes between the first C to the next C bears the number of the first C. So this is C3, D3, E3, F3, G3, A3, B3, and then here we are at C4, which C4 is middle C. Then we just carry the 4s all the way up, C5. Carry now the 5s all the way up, C6. There is also, that's the high C, there's also a C7 and a C8, which finishes the keyboard on the upper band. These black notes also carry the numbers as well, but we're going to go upwards, and this is going to be C sharp 3, D3, D sharp 3, and so forth and so on. When we go up towards the keys, we give it the number, we give it the sharp. When we go downward towards the keys, we give it a flat. Okay? So, it will still bear the same number sequence. If it's between C3 and B3, all of the notes, including the sharps or flats, will bear the same number. Once we cross into C4, then all of the notes between C4 and B4 will have the number 4. Once we cross into C5, all of the notes from C5 to B5 will have the same number. So it's very easy. That's the labeling of the tones, of the notes rather, on a keyboard or on a piano. We'll go ahead and remove this. All right. We're going to look at this nice little keyboard here. You don't see the numbers here, but I want you to look at another term. And the term is called enharmonic. Let me pull up the PowerPoint. Enharmonic relates to notes that are the same in pitch in modern tuning, that is, though bearing different names. And you'll learn later on that the term enharmonic will also apply to keys, to chords, and to many other audio elements of music. So again, enharmonic simply means that a tone having the same pitch will have different names. All right? So let's pull back up this little keyboard here. Of course, this is a visual, this is a graphic. This is our middle C for the sake of argument for now. Let's just look at the tones between C and B. Going up a semitone or a half step, and that's what a half step means, going up one step. Now we're looking at the half steps in between. If you're going forward, this is C sharp. I'm just going to keep going forward to D. Going upward, D sharp to E. Notice there is no black note in between because E and F is a natural half step based on our tonality and our tuning. Again, we're not going to get into acoustics in this class. Just trust me for now that E and F is a natural half step. F to F sharp to G, G to G sharp to A to A sharp to B, and then B to C is a semitone, a natural half step or a natural semitone. So I just gave you the semitones from the low C to its octave C. Okay? Now let's go downward. C to B is a natural half step and no change. But from B down would be called B flat. So notice when we're looking at the sharps, we're going upward, and we have to, in regards to sharps, give the sharp name going upward. The sharp name will be the letter and of course the term sharp. But we're going downward now, so we would therefore give it the flat name. Sharps raises pitches, flats lower pitches. So therefore we see B to B flat to A to A flat to G, G to G flat to F, F and E is our natural half step or natural semitone, E to E flat to D, D to D flat, and then D flat to C. If you notice all of these tones, and including the white tones, they will all have an enharmonic name. In other words, C sharp is the same as D flat. Or let me go over here, G sharp is the same as A flat. So how do I know which one to use? Can I use it interchangeably? Well, it depends. If the music that you're looking at is in quote-unquote A flat major, let's say, then every note will have a flat, and therefore you would call it a flat. But if you're just looking at a sheet of music and you're looking at two notes, regardless of the key, you can call it an A flat or a G sharp, depending upon how you are looking at it. Sometimes as vocalists, even though we see a note that says G flat or whatever, We sometimes want to think of it as an a as a F sharp if I'm going upward, if I'm ascending. So one way to choose which note would work better as far as the enharmonic, if you're ascending, you may want to continue just using sharps chromatically. The word chromatic simply means going up by half steps or going downward. I may want to use flats. So but it's enharmonic. In other words, the same pitch will have two different names. All right? Sometimes it gets even more complicated, depending upon double sharps and double flats, etc. Let's look at the white keys, although it's not on this diagram. Could you guess what would be the enharmonic, let's say for A? Give it a shot. Well, it wouldn't be A flat. To make this tone sound, this tone and this tone are two different tones to our ears. Let me play it for you. This is an A, and this is an A flat. And remember, the definition of enharmonic would mean that the name of the tone, the names that we give the tone will be the same for the tone. The tone will be the same, but the name would be different, but would mark to this tone. So, remember we learned about sharps and flats and double sharps and double flats. All right? That was a quick presentation. So, I want you to think, what would be the enharmonic for an A? I'll give you one. Reference the letter above it or the letter below it. I would say A would be the same as B double flat. Here's B flat, and then one more step would make it a B double flat. So A natural or B double flat would be the same for this tonality. I could do the same thing upward. G to G sharp, G to G double sharp. So A would have three names. A itself, G double sharp, G double flat, G double sharp, or B double flat. Ideally, some of these notes may have two or three names as well. For example, here's B flat. I can easily call that C double flat. See? I can easily call that C double flat. So with double flats and double sharps, we're able to extend the actual enharmonics. But the definition of enharmonic is that the tone, what you hear, will sound the same. But it will have two or even three, in this case, if you're doing double flats and double sharps, three separate names. All right? But as far as the piano keyboard, just the basics, forget about the enharmonics for the white keys, you will see the enharmonics for the black keys. And now you would know that the enharmonics for the white keys, for the exception of the natural, half steps. So for example, E sharp will be the same as F. F flat will be the same as E. Same thing for B here. B sharp will be the same for C. And C flat will be the same for B. You got it? So now you know the enharmonics even with the natural half steps. All right? We'll go ahead and come out of that one. This is called a semitone chart, as we're now talking about semitones. How many half steps does it take to get from one note to the next? And in that case, what is the interval? So the next module you're going to be learning is basically intervals. All right? So you'll be learning intervals on this current module. I didn't say next module. I meant this module. You'll be learning intervals. So you'll see this chart, And the reason why I had to tell you about semitones is to help you understand the intervals between one semitone to the next. So you'll be learning that on our my intervals um, video in this module. All right, we've done that. Now, on the staff, I just wanted you to see what that C major is, from C, middle C in this case, to its octave. So remember what C this is? Did you say C4? That's right. Now, if you were to get to a real piano, which of course I encourage you to do if you haven't already seen, go find all of the C's. The very first C on the left that you will see, and remember, a C is this section of the key of the keys. You'll have two black keys surrounded by three white keys before you get to your first half step. That's your first section, and the first note is a C. The second section, the first note is an F, and it'll be four white keys surrounded by three black keys. So you'll have this section, then a half step, and then this section. So when you get to this section, you're going to find the C. Now, on a real piano, of course, you're going to see two or three notes prior to your first C. Those notes will have the number 0, okay? Then the first C will be C1. So we mark all of the C's. Piano teachers, when they're teaching students, they'll have a piano that will have stickers on all of the keys, and the stickers will at least show where the C's are and what the C's are: C1, C2, C3, C4. So between C4 and C5 is this right here, and this is what it looks like on a treble staff. Middle C, which is a ledger line, and then all of a sudden we go up to the next steps and we see E to F is a semitone, just like it would be on the piano. Sorry about that, wrong one. There we go. Then we keep going up the semitone to B to C. And of course this keeps going, but this is a C major scale. And we're going to learn that in a minute, but these are where the semitones are on that piano keyboard. All right? And that's it. So, I would encourage you to either download a piano keyboard to your phone or to your pad or to your tablet or to your computer if you have a Windows or a Mac computer that has an app for the keyboard, or just simply go to the websites that I gave you to look at the keyboard. Now, these keyboards that we download, etc., will not be complete, at least not from one side to the next. Some of the piano keyboards on the phones will have you extend one way or the other. But to see a full keyboard, obviously, you just need to go to a piano. And you are free to go to the pianos in the music building during the summer sessions. Just simply call security, let them know that you are taking the summer session with me, and you would need to have the piano, and I will send a memo to security to let you know. So that's it. So if you're on campus, you'll be able to access a piano keyboard in the music building. All right? All right, good. Thanks for watching this module, and go to the next module, which talks about intervals. Have a good one.